Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forward Motion. I'm Karen Allen. Well, it all started with a sore throat, and it turned into a life and death fight. This family joined together, and they're with me now. I'm really proud, actually. I'm proud of them. I feel like I've known them for years. But I read the book. Yes, I did. Here it is. This is incredible. It's Good to Know a Miracle, Dani's Story. One Family's Struggle with Leukemia. Here they are. Jay and Sue Shotel, the writers, the authors, and the heroine herself, Dani Greene. Dani Shotel Greene.
Right.
Right? Because there's a happy ending there too. Not only are you alive, you're married, which is nice. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for sharing.
For inviting us.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming to share with all of us not only this amazing book, which is a log and a journal and a journey of everything, starting with the sore throat, what I'm going to ask you about, and also how you struggled with this day to day. You guys are teachers. Both your parents are teachers in the education field, and this is really like a teaching book too. So if it did anything you ever wanted to know about leukemia, you would know right here. And you've included, it's a real manual for getting through this disease, and I think you could probably apply it to many other diseases as well. Maybe the medications would change and some of the procedures would change, but this is really a way that you all kept each other going, the family, the extended family, the expertise, the keeping of the notes, and it's very impressive, and I think we're one with you and with the whole journey, and we're so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you're glad you're here.
I'm very glad to be here.
I wanted to ask, first I should ask you, how did this all start? Because healthy, 20, How old were you?
I was 26 when I was diagnosed, and I really was just enjoying the summer of Dani, I called it. I took a summer off from teaching. I didn't teach summer school, and was just having a wonderful time with my new boyfriend, Scott.
Who you'd known, 3 months?
Yeah, we were dating about 3 months, and all of a sudden I came down with a sore throat, and I felt miserable, and I had a history of getting strep throat, so it was very quickly diagnosed as strep, and I went on medications for strep, but it would not go away, and I think it was 10 days before it was actually diagnosed as acute myelogenous leukemia, which any acute form of a cancer, they'd rather diagnose it on day 1 than on day 10.
Of course. I think what it was you say in the book, your parents say in the book, is that you suddenly had bruises all over your body. Your mother said, go get a blood draw. Brilliant. How did you
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
She doesn't know.
I don't know where it came from and why I said it, but...
Because bruises are blood capillaries broken and stuff like that, and you're like, something's going on, and you said go get a blood draw, I guess.
Yes.
And then, wow.
Right. And even when I went to the doctor to ask for the blood draw, like she said, the doctor still saw me as a 26-year-old healthy female and called in her second opinion, her partner. And her partner, who had seen me on day 1, said, oh my gosh, give that girl a blood draw,
Yeah. Because how outrageous is it? I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? I mean, it's unusual, obviously. I don't know what the statistics really are, but I know that it is unusual. But how did you take the news? Who was with you? Your dad, right?
My father was with
Happened
me.
to be with you.
Right.
Right, Jay?
Sure, I can pick up the story from there. If you want.
Well, I would like to know how, that news out of, you're not expecting that.
No, it started out where she still was not feeling well. I was not teaching that morning. I came over to make her breakfast just to make her feel a little better. She got a call from the doctor's office, and he said, get thee to an oncologist, at which point we didn't even know what an oncologist was because she was a healthy 26-year-old, et cetera, and have been very fortunate that way. And we went, and they took another blood draw, and they said, I'll give you what they said, and Dani could say what
she heard.
She said back. and the doctor came in, and he said, there's a 99% chance that you have leukemia, and Dani said...
But that means there's a 1% that I don't.
And
always positive.
Which is the way she lives her
life.
life.
The way she is throughout the book, always positive. I don't know where that came from. But That's good. It's a love fest here. It's
Right.
great that to say that you got through all of this and a wedding, and you're still talking to your parents. I think
That's
is
true.
is a
I
lot.
never thought that we had two things to get through.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But I think that how did you take it? Were you? I mean, that had to come out of just nowhere for you.
It came out of absolute nowhere. I mean, it was a surreal experience because we were in this office that I don't even know how we got there because I've never seen that office again since we've been to that doctor multiple times. And I also had to get a bone marrow biopsy right after the news. I had to separate from my dad and
Which
go
was incredibly painful, according to the book.
incredibly painful because, and they're painful no matter what, but it was incredibly painful because my blast count was so high that it was like an explosion of the marrow just to get out of my bones when.
And Sue, I want you to say what a blast is, because I know the definitions are in here. What's a
It's
blast,
an
real quick?
immature white blood cell that they form much too frequently, and they adhere to the various body organs, and they suffocate the organs.
Because that's what leukemia is, right? Too many white blood cells.
Or too little.
This particular type of
Okay.
leukemia. And again, you have the acute and you have the chronic leukemias, and then within that, they're all slightly different. But in this particular case, the acuteness is the danger point, at which point one of the nurses in the hospital said to me that first night, she's a pretty sick puppy.
Yeah, and I also read in the book that you basically had 24 hours, and the doctor said, I'm trying to keep her alive
Right.
tonight.
we're not talking about anything else except keeping her alive.
That just struck me as, oh my God, I mean, because it's from strep throat to
Right.
life or death.
Right.
That's right.
You have two children.
Right.
You have a son,
Yes, a
Micah,
younger son.
who lives in Seattle. So there's 50% of your,
That's it.
and I just can't even imagine going through this. And I know that, I'm sure that this helps other families with getting horrible news to deal with that news because you are here and because you worked through it and struggled through it and you were lucky. And I want to talk about how you did that too, ending with the transplant, of course, that you had that I guess not everybody needs,
Right.
but you did need. Let's talk about why you needed a transplant, because I know there's different kinds of leukemias, and I'm not a doctor. You guys aren't. You guys are great educators. There's nothing you don't know about leukemia now, based on reading this book. But why did you need a transplant, Dani?
I needed a transplant. I'm going to actually pass this one to
Okay,
my father
maybe
because
it's
I don't remember
chromosomal.
the exact.
It's genetic.
We played different roles in this too, and my role was as a university professor to kind of be the researcher and to find out what was going on. And so as best as I could, and with some people helping me by translating, what we found out was that she had a genetic difference. There is, we all make aberrant cells. We all make cells that are different. In Dani's case, she was missing part of a chromosome that happens to have the cancer-killing gene on it. So what normally happens is we make an odd cell here and there, and the white blood cells go after it, and they get rid of it, and it's done. But in Dani's case, it had free reign. Here I am. I can have fun. It was almost like those commercials on TV, and they can, go ahead and do what they need to do, and or not do, as the case may be. And so she needed to have a bone marrow transplant in which they had to remove all her existing marrow. They couldn't just treat it with chemotherapy. And we had to go about the task of
Finding a donor.
finding a
Finding a
donor.
That was amazing. Do you two have that gene, or how did that?
We
Because
don't.
environmentally, of course, it also had to influence.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 things that they don't really know how this occurs. And what the doctors finally said to us is it was bad luck,
Yeah.
essentially, because you can go on with this and
not
it
ever
never
happened.
happened.
Micah?
Right.
Micah's fine.
Micah's fine.
In fact, Micah's biggest disappointment is that he couldn't be a donor for his sister.
Right.
Yeah, he was
There
the
was a
exact
1 in 4
opposite.
chance
Right.
that he could be the donor, and he was not, and he was a little upset about that.
Right, but a donor, we'll get to that. It's a neat story too. I think
Okay.
it's such a neat story that you did find a donor.